Today, I want to talk about one of the big fears, and that is not being good enough. Raising great kids is a privilege and a responsibility. Sometimes our children can't see their own greatness. Sometimes we can't. Other times we can see their greatness but struggle to step up because of our own challenges. We will be discussing the brain science, tools, and techniques that help us raise great kids. Hello, I am Cynthia Armstrong with Raising Great Kids. I am a public school teacher in general and special ed in the elementaries, and I've homeschooled my children for 5 years. What I talk about are the things that I've researched, that I've learned about, and I've practiced implementing to see what works and what doesn't work in my life at home and also in the school environment. So one of the big fears that we have is not being good enough. And one of the things is this can be a very vague fear. Fears are often vague. And we think, well, no, it feels very specific. I don't want to do this one thing because of my fear. But what makes you fear that can be very vague. I'm not good enough. Compared to what? Compared to others? Compared to what you want to have happen? Uh, and we get these fears that then influence what we choose to do or not do, or what we feel we're capable of or not capable of. And this fear can be very overwhelming for some. And it can lead to that anxiety or that depression. It can lead to other things, as well as just being a simple thing that stops us from doing what it is that we really want to do. And so as we look at this fear, take a really close look. When we ask ourselves questions, then it's really hard to maintain that vagueness that allows the fear to proliferate, right? Because it can increase. When we entertain it, it can increase. When we ignore it, then we just find excuses or ways to avoid what it is that fear's coming up for. So in order to combat this fear, it's a really important thing to ask questions to get a good look at like what's really happening. And often for that fear to come up, we're projecting into the future. Oh, I might fail. They might laugh at me. I might. And we entertain these projections into the future, and that stops us in the here and now. So the questions help us to get more details, and it helps us to pretty much become more present. It takes us out of that future so that we're looking at, well, what is really going on? And our brain, like I said, in the past, it's negatively biased. That's just how our brains are. And so when we go to the future, it's unless we very purposefully decide to go to the possibilities, the beneficial possibilities, all the great things that could happen, the success that we can have. Unless we purposefully send our mind there, then the fallback is to go to the negative and look at all of those things that can go wrong. And so asking yourselves very specific questions to help you to stay here and now and in the present, and then choosing to look at the beneficial possibilities. And that can be part of the questioning too. So you can ask yourself questions that will lead to you helping to picture the beneficial possibilities. What if everything went right? Or things like that. That is what will help us to kind of ground and center and to retrain our brain to not automatically go to that fear. And so I do encourage you to think, what questions could I ask myself that would benefit me when I start thinking these self-doubting thoughts? And what kind of things are possible? Because that can be very motivating. If we get so super excited about the possibilities that would benefit us, then it can be worth any risk that our brain might be coming up with. Especially, again, as you look at your needs, like what needs am I meeting with this fear? What's another way I can meet these needs that will lead me to an outcome that I want? So when we do this for ourselves, then we're more able to do this for our children. And as we practice, those questions and those things can come easier. And so then when we move to helping our children with those fears, we've had some practice in asking ourselves questions. And when we ask our children questions, make sure that we're doing it in a seeking way and not a blaming or oh my goodness or a really kind of way, but just in that curiosity and is as a possibility of something that could help. Not, okay, ask yourself these questions, you should be better, but this has helped me. I wonder if it would help you. Things like that don't come in and say, we're the authority, we know how to do it, just do it. But in a way that presents with that curiosity. Our children are more open to our curiosity, especially as they get older, than the parents know all and this is how it is and it should work for you kind of way. So I encourage you to really look at when do those fears come up for you? Do you entertain those fears and grow them so that you do less and less? Or do you avoid things like, oh, I'm just not even going to address that. I'll pretend I don't have that by doing these other things. uh, and how does that work for you? And how can you present this to your children in a way that they're open to it? And so I encourage you to look at those, because children are great by their very nature. And we have that privilege and that responsibility to raise them, to teach them. Hi friends, Cynthia Armstrong here. Thanks for joining us today. Please make sure that you subscribe to our channel so you can see when new videos come out and like this one. It is such a responsibility and a challenge to raise great kids, and we are here to help you along that journey to make it as enjoyable and fun and fulfilling as possible. Please check out our website, www.raisinggreatkids.net, and I will leave that in the description below.